Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 368 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Let's get with some DC updates. The first one up is all about the Joker. As you know, Joker is coming out this year. It's the only DC film or DC-based film, in any case, that's coming out this year. And we all know about the Venice Film Festival, the TIFF, and how it's going to be nominated, possibly. It's trying to get that awards. Well, this is an exclusive from EW Awards ace at Eric Weber. He says, exclusive source who's seen Joker tells him that Joaquin Phoenix will be nominated for Oscars 2020 Best Actor, calling Phoenix dark, disturbing, and unforgettable, which is not the first time that Joker has ever been nominated or even actually won an Oscar, and that Oscar award went to Heath Ledger, who is also dark, disturbing, and very much unforgettable. And so I am actually quite excited to see what Phoenix has to bring to this character, to bring to this role. And it looks like an award winning movie. It almost looks like something. This looks totally different from what we're used to in terms of superhero centric themed movies. Although nowadays a lot of people seem to like that darker take on these superheroes, the darker take, which is like The Boys, and now Watchmen's coming up again, and now Joker. So it's a fascinating time, and I would have thought that I wish Batman v Superman and the Justice League came out during this time. I think people would have had a lot better thoughts about those movies when it came out during this time, where this thing, dark, disturbing, unforgettable, is being accepted and now going to be award-winning in any case. So I am very much intrigued and want to see this. It's not in my top movies, probably not going to be in my top movies of the year, but that, it remains to be seen. I still think Godzilla is the best movie of the year, but that's just me. And but I am really eager to see where this goes, because if this wins, if this makes Oscar popularity, it's and also the money. Well, maybe more award-winning than the money, because this is a very low-budget film in any case. So if it makes a decent amount during the opening weekend, it's going to make its money back. But having this to be on their little trophy of Warner Brothers, I think Warner Brothers will take more risks by saying, hey, we don't need to we don't have to just make the connected films. We can make these individual films that have a big impact and possibly turn into award winners. Instead of trying to get other stories, they could actually tap into the DC Comics. Imagine them going into deeper further and just getting these little one-off films that have great stories and stuff like that, and just putting it out there just to get that part of the audience, to get content for that part of the audience, while at the same time making the type of audience that they're, Toby Emmerich's daughters would like, So I think there is room for all types of movies, in the DCEU, in the DC and Warner Brothers, and I think this is probably a step in the right direction for how they should manage future movies from here on out, right? So that's great. I think seeing Joker as part of the Oscars and stuff, that'd be incredible. It's not the first time genre type movies are in there, but yet they're selling this as more like a Martin Scorsese type of film. So kind of eager to see different types of films coming out of Warner Brothers in terms of a DC based. Now the next one it's an opinion piece, and this is coming from Comic Book Resources, and it's not the only opinion piece coming from Comic Book Resources, but we'll get to the Snyder Cut in a moment. This one is about Vandal Savage, and the headline seems interesting. It says Vandal Savage should be the Thanos of the DCEU. Now one would look at that and immediately go, hey, no, Thanos' counterpart is Darkseid in the DCEU. In DC, we want Zack Snyder's Darkseid and stuff like that, easily getting triggered. But if you really just go and look at it and read it, he makes some good points. Although I don't think it may be an overarching villain, I would say. And if they are able to do that, then that's awesome. That's great. But for me, I can only see him as being like a one-off so far. And but I like how they word out Vandal Savage here. They say this. I'm taking this part on comic book resources. The immortal Vandal Savage, on the other hand, has been shown repeatedly to have a complex personality, capable of self-reflection, growth, and even remorse. He's human in a way Darkseid can never be. In the animated Justice League episode Hereafter, Superman meets a Vandal Savage from a dystopian future in which he has practically destroyed the world, the goal of many supervillains. Rather than gloating, however, Savage is contemplative and remorseful, understanding the weight of his actions. His immortality has bolstered his humanity, and he ultimately assumes the role of hero to help set things right. So I like that type of characterization where it's not the line between good and evil is a little bit blurred in a sense, and you can understand the villain a lot more by thinking like, well, he has a point. If I was in his shoes, I would kind of be like that. It's kind of like General Zod in Man of Steel. He may look like a villain to the humans, but he's trying to protect his people. He's trying to get Krypton back, and him and Jor-El were just two faces on the same coin, right? Two different sides of the same coin. They're both are trying to achieve something differently, and I really liked that type of villain. It wasn't such black and white. You could totally relate to General Zod. You could also totally relate to Thanos as well. He was trying to save the universe by taking half of them away. But of course, you see what happened there. But General Zod, Thanos, and and maybe even Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger is different because it's very he has no reasoning. He just wants to see the world burn. But it's a cool way of getting to that, meaning he's a flip of something that you'd understand, but you understand his craziness and stuff. You understand him, how he tries to break Batman by utilizing Batman's own code against him, so that part of Joker is that complexity. He's not just doing things for money. He's not just doing things for stuff, but it's very complex, and I like that type of villain. I think that type of villain would work well. So for me, Vandal Savage could work well as a great villain for like a one-off or two movies. And I just remember, it's interesting that they came out with the whole talk about Vandal Savage today, because I remember that Benicio Del Toro, who is rumored to be cast, and I'm not sure if this has actually been proven yet, but set for major villain role in the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. And I remember at that time that they referred to Benicio Del Toro's character as the Mayor, and described as an irascible old warrior who lives for war. And so a lot of speculation at that time, even now, that he's a general, he's some type of warhead figure, and he sounds kind of like a Vandal Savage. It's a Vandal Savage warrior. I mean, Vandal Savage, he's over 50,000 years old. He's an immortal. He gone through wars and stuff. He has no problem using wars to get what he wants. And so I think it's possible that James Gunn actually bringing Vandal Savage to the Suicide Squad. And if that's the case, that is really cool and interesting, but also could just be a one-off as well. Now, the general, the mayor, irascible old warrior who lives for war, that's a lot of different warriors. That's a lot of different terrorists. That's a lot of different types of villains as well. So, but I think because they're keeping the role a mystery role, I think there's a lot more to Benicio Del Toro's character that we have yet to see, and we'll probably won't even know. Maybe that's the surprise, and hopefully if that is, then I might. Did I spoil it? But I don't think so, because it's just speculation at best. But if he is Vandal Savage, that'd be pretty crazy. And if that's the case, and he's as complex as they put him in the comics, as complex as they put him in other things like Young Justice and the Justice League animated, then you could get it really excited. And maybe by then, if it's really that good of a character, if Benicio Del Toro, if he's Vandal Savage and if he plays him really well, then we probably all be leaning towards seeing a sequel or seeing him reappear somewhere else during the timeline later on for the DCEU afterwards. So, but I thought it was interesting that Comic Book Resources talked about Vandal Savage, and it just brought up that Suicide Squad rumor that may turn out interesting. Now, speaking of old wars and history wars, there is Fabian Wagner, 78. He put out another Instagram on his Instagram post, Fabian Wagner 78, and it says this: when you need a big enough stage for galloping some horses, it becomes a pretty big lighting set up. Our softbox covered the whole of the stage with a mix of sky panels and space lights. Second pick is our hero Amazonians on the action horses for some cool close-up work. T12 on a small crane operated by one of their smaller sparks for some backlight and movement. Of course, there's more Justice League behind the scenes. Hashtag cinematographer. Hashtag Connie Nelson. Hashtag Robin Wright. Hashtag Lisa Love Kongsley. Amazonians Zack Snyder. So this is, he released pictures of behind the scenes of the history battle involving Connie Nelson. And what's the most interesting thing I see from here is finally getting to see Robin Wright in Justice League. We all know she was in Justice League. She said she was going to be in Justice League, but we never really saw. Maybe if we looked really closely, perhaps into the Justice League or even in the credits, perhaps. But she never really got her due. You never really got to see her fight. You've seen Connie Nelson, but that was about it. So it makes me wonder, why did they take her out? What was the reason for them to delete her? Seeing as she was also a pivotal piece in the Wonder Woman movie that everybody loved, and the critics loved, the studio loved. So you would think they would add more of the Wonder Woman into the history lesson, but we're not sure what parts they decided to cut out, and maybe she was part of a speech or something, or whatnot. But that action, that history lesson, continues to be seen like it's a much bigger event than how it was portrayed in the Justice League movie. It must have been an actual event, and maybe not even a flashback. It's maybe not even Diana Prince talking about it. It may have just been part of the movie, like a whole sequence where you see it, just like in Lord of the Rings, the prologue of the Lord of the Rings, and it's a huge battle and stuff like that, and things happening. People are taking orders, giving orders, seeing Darkseid, and a much bigger scene than what we've seen in the theatrical cut. And it's so much. It's so cool that Fabian Wagner continues to give us snippets. It's kind of just a little bit urging us for us, hey, this is what you're missing. This is what you will be able to see in the Snyder Cut. So if you are interested, if you want to see it, then continue asking for it and continue having other people come in, join the movement as well. That brings me to my last thing. Another opinion piece from Comic Book Resources, and this one triggered a lot of people, and I totally understand why. The title is this: the hashtag ReleaseTheSnyderCut campaign hasn't changed a damn thing. And when you look at that and you're just like, no, it did this and that, the suicide awareness and things like that, it moves something. But I think when you read the article, it actually makes a little bit of sense, in the sense that what he's trying to say is that Warner Brothers still hasn't responded despite all everyone has done during Project Con. He did at the very end praise The movement, though, and I think I want to read this to you so we understand. The title is triggered. It's the title is makes you want to click on it for sure, and I did because I wanted to read what he wrote. But just reading it, it just makes some sense, and I just want to bring it out a little bit to aware for people to aware that when you see titles like that, a lot of times they really just want you to click on it, and it turns out to be completely negative. But in this case, it's not all negative. There's actually some positive in here. So he says this: despite the campaign's relative ineffectiveness when it comes to actually getting the Snyder Cut released, the people behind it have done some genuine good. Half of the money raised by the movement's marketing efforts was donated to the Association for Suicide Prevention, as it was the suicide of Snyder's daughter that forced him to leave the film's production in the first place. In the end, the greatest success surrounding Justice League's failure was the reality that not all heroes wear capes. So he's calling us heroes, and he's calling us heroes that don't wear capes. Unfortunately, it's true, Warner Brothers did not respond or has not put out any announcement or even saying what they're going to do or not going to do. They're continuing to keep quiet. But at least they are aware that we've done some good by raising money for the AFSP in honor of because Snyder's daughter's got committed suicide. This is one of the biggest foundations that Zack Snyder promotes. Zack Snyder is a part of and wants to push. So that's why I think this is a great ending to this article, despite a lot of things on the top where it's literally just showing kind of facts of what's happening, but his own opinion of why Justice League may not release, or he's trying to figure out why Warner Brothers would not want to even talk about it at this point. But I like that at the end it gave us a little bit of positive push and a little bit of praise, and I think that's something to be said there, despite the very negative title or clickbaity title, but there is some truths in that. So I just want you guys to be aware of that, even though it's not a good title in an article, I encourage you to read it anyway. And look at that, and even though you may not want to click on it, he decided to use Justice League Snyder Cut as a topic to write about, and the more clicks and the more people like it or look at it, the more it drives up that attention factor to the Snyder Cut. And in this case, when you do click on it, it's actually a positive piece at the bottom, and it's just his opinion of just kind of wondering what Warner Brothers, why Warner Brothers is not saying anything at this moment. And we hope they are looking into it. We hope and pray that they're actually trying to do something about it, or will announce something, or even just address it at this point. But we have to just keep up the pressure, keep on pushing, and keep creating awareness to the Snyder Cut, and keep getting more people outside of the Twitter platform, outside of the social media platform, and gain that mass audience, and hopefully find a way to get it to some type of thing and awareness to Warner Brothers, so that they know that there's a lot more people out there trying to find it. And I know, I mean, the probably the easiest way they could do that is put out a question: do you guys want to see the Snyder Cut? And then there you go. But they're staying completely silent for whatever reason. Could be ego, could be whoever, I don't know. But we'll just have to wait and see, and support the next Snyder Cut movement in their endeavors. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. I want to thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.